Hello and welcome back on World News. We'll start today's highlight with the mysterious kidnapping of a mother and daughter told with husband's bizarre story in Irvine. To Irvine detectives, Sheng Zhang's story initially strained belief. His wife, Amber Ayas, and her 12-year-old daughter, Melissa Fu, claimed to be kidnapped from their apartment, and he had waited more than a week to report it. Zhang, a 42-year-old Uber driver, said he had been knocked out by a stranger at his door with an unidentifiable mist. He cleaned blood from the carpet. He followed kidnappers' instructions to behave as usual, posing as his missing wife on WeChat, and he even told his stepdaughter's school that the missing 7th grader was sick at home. All of this helped to establish Zhang as suspect number 1 when he approached police on December 2, 2019. Interrogating him for hours, police told his story was impossible. Even experienced told detectives that a husband who killed his wife and stepdaughter was a far simpler and more believable scenario. Irvine advertises itself as America's safest mid-sized city, and for a year and a half its police department said little about the unsolved disappearances of 34-year-old Amber Ayas and her daughter Melissa Fu, a student at Rancho San Joaquin Middle School. Now, after what they call an exhaustive investigation including more than 40 hours of interviews with Zhang and a parallel investigation by the FBI, detectives say they have not been able to disprove Zhang's bizarre account. Instead, police say it has proved consistent on point after point, to the point that theories in regard to issues are racing at the speed of light. The 7th grader, who used to talk to her grandmother daily, has not contacted her since. Ayas has not touched her bank accounts in America. Their passport were still at the apartment. The Chinese government says she hasn't touched accounts in her native China either, nor has she or her daughter entered the country since they vanished, which make the other famous theory seem likelier by the day, that Ayas and her stepdaughter are the victims of an uncommonly efficient and sophisticated broad daylight kidnapping that became a double homicide. The most illustrious theory came from Zhang himself. According to police reports and interviews with Irvine detectives, Zhang said it began with a knock on the door of his small apartment on Michelson Drive about 4:30 p.m. on November 22, 2019. Zhang was at his home with his stepdaughter. He also told detectives that his wife was driving home from Las Vegas with a carload of fruit and fish they planned to sell at a local market. By Zhang's account, it all started when he answered the door to find a man and a woman he didn't recognize. The woman held something in her right hand, and he felt something wet and misty on his face, and seconds later to be collapsed. He woke up on the dining room floor hours later after found blood stains on the carpet and a bloody handprint on the kitchen wall, only to find out later that both his wife and his stepdaughter were gone. Zhang, who is a Chinese immigrant that speaks little English, said he found a handwritten note on white lined paper in Chinese, and it told him his wife and stepdaughter were okay, that they would be able to be home in a few days. If you contact police, you won't see them again. The note said, "Clean the apartment, act normal, we are watching you." The notes appeared repeatedly in front of Zhang's eyes for the 5th time, so he had the bloody pages of carpet cut out and replaced. He tried to remove the bloody handprint on the wall with bleach, then painted over it, and he went to his stepdaughter's school and lied that she was ill. When they didn't appear, Zhang said he decided to call police, who noticed that he was very nervous that he might be seen talking to them. He insisted on spending the night on the couch at the police station rather than returning home. Zhang also claimed that he didn't know who had kidnapped his wife and stepdaughter or why there had not been demand for ransom money, but he was afraid the kidnappers were watching him. Starting the day Zhang reported his wife and stepdaughter missing in December 2019 until mid-January 2020, 44 days in all, dozens of detectives worked in shift to surveil him around the clock. All of them stated that Zhang was 100% cooperative with the investigation. For instance, he let the police search his apartment, directing them to the bloody handprint under the paint on the kitchen wall. Forensic techs found the replaced patches of carpet, peeled them up, and found blood on the painting underneath. That led them to believe it was his wife's blood. Through it all, Zhang's account remained the same one he would told for the last 6 weeks of interrogations. "I am A nobody in this country and I can disappear, he said, and detectives are convinced about Zhang's and his point that if he had been involved in the kidnappings, there was no reasons for him to report the crime at all. And that's the first highlight of today's news. We'll be back with more later.